Looks like things are starting to get heated in the courtroom as talks on Johnny Depp's former lawyer have now become the order of the day with Amber's new claims. And with the looks of things, it seems they'll only get more heated with each passing minute at this rate. What happened in court with Amber's lawyer and how would that affect the trial? Well, at first the story of this case was mainly based on statements from Amber's oped, which described Johnny as a wife beater. And although that was the center of it all, Johnny Depp's lawyer, Waldman's statement in the past seems to have stolen that spotlight and is what is being dragged in court right now. Which brings us to what transpired in the courtroom today. While Johnny's lawyer initially spoke on how those claims made by Waldman couldn't particularly be attached to Johnny Depp and by extension cannot be the basis of a suit, Amber's team didn't seem to be having any of it, and her lawyer didn't hide that in any way when it was his time to speak. As the lawyer mounted the podium in court, the first thing he did was to establish some legal background to debunk most of the things that were previously said by Depp's lawyer. After that, he went on to explain that Waldman wasn't only acting on behalf of Depp, but that the pair were co-conspirators in the defamatory statements that the lawyer made against Amber Heard. To support his claims, the lawyer made an example of how Depp's lawyer had reported that Amber was being investigated for perjury by the LAPD after filing a complaint at the same police department himself. Describing the actions made by his fellow lawyer, he defined them as this.
In the UK proceeding, the court there found him to be a wife beater. Mr. Waldman then got an overseas tabloid to run a story claiming that Amber was being investigated for perjury, which simply wasn't true. He walked into the LAPD, filed a complaint for perjury against Ms. Heard, found a media outlet that doesn't follow the two-source rule, and then he had let the world believe that the LAPD was investigating Ms. Heard for perjury. That's a shameful and a sickening example, Your Honor, of the lengths that Mr. Depp, through his agent, Mr. Waldman, would go to smear and to defame Amber Heard, and that continued in the three statements in the counterclaim.
The lawyer also talked about the statements made by Johnny's lawyer also being prevalent on social media, further putting Amber in a tight spot professionally. He mentioned that there is an astounding amount of evidence that supports the defamatory claims made by Amber against Depp, stating that close research from a professional showed that many of the negative hashtags associated with Amber's name on social media were in several ways connected to the statements by Waldman.
I won't go through all the evidence, but Your Honor's heard evidence from Ron Schnell, who's traced the negative hashtags toward Amber Heard online associated with those defamatory statements, and noted the staggeringly high number of them that were associated with Mr. Waldman. Under the principles of the agent-principal relationship in Virginia, Your Honor, when Mr. Waldman made those statements, he was standing in the shoes of Mr. Depp. They are one and the same for the purposes of those statements. As Your Honor discussed at length on Friday, Mr. Waldman made these statements with actual malice. There's plenty of evidence from which the jury could infer that, and his own, both from the actual malice from Mr. Depp and Mr. Waldman's own reckless disregard of facts that didn't support Mr. Depp.
Although Amber's lawyer seems to have done a pretty good job, we can't completely rule out that Johnny's lawyer already laid out legally supported principles and cases to support his claims that Waldman acted on his own. Presently, it is unclear if these statements from both parties have pulled any weight in court. But whatever the case, we'll see the outcome soon enough. How about to you? How are things looking for both sides?